Ah. Ah. You're not strong at me. I'm a big dog. I'm a big dog. Oh, hello there. How are you today? I was just playing a little game of tug of war with Marvin. He loves playing tug of war here, and he's super playful. He loves to play fetch. He loves to play tug of war with his little chew toy here. He loves to play like frisbee and soccer even, which is super cool. I've had him around in the backyard playing soccer and stuff, and he's a lot of fun to play soccer with as well. So anyway, I'm gonna let him go here with this toy, and I'm gonna grab our book so that I can get into chapter 25 of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Here. Alright, so chapter 5 of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory is called The Great Glass Lift. Oh, I've never seen anything like it, cried Mr. Wonka. The children are disappearing like rabbits. But you mustn't worry about it. They'll all come out in the wash. Mr. Wonka looked at the little group that stood beside him in the corridor. There were only 2 children left, Mike Teavee and Charlie Bucket. And there were 3 grown-ups, Mr. and Mrs. Teavee and Grandpa Joe. Shall we move on? Mr. Wonka asked. Oh, yes, cried Charlie and Grandpa Joe, both together. My feet are getting tired, said Mike Teavee. I want to watch television. Well, if you're tired, then we'd better take the lift, said Mr. Wonka. It's over here. Come on. In we go. He skipped across the passage to a pair of double doors. The doors slid open. The 2 children and the grown-ups went in. Now then, cried Mr. Wonka, which button shall we press? Take your pick. Charlie Bucket stared around him in astonishment. This was the craziest lift he had ever seen. There were buttons everywhere. The walls and even the ceilings were covered all over with rows and rows and rows of small blackish buttons. There must have been 1,000 of them on each wall and another 1,000 on the ceiling. And now Charlie noticed that every single button had a tiny printed label beside it, telling you which room you would be taken to if you pressed it. This isn't just an ordinary up and down lift, announced Mr. Wonka proudly. This lift can go sideways, and long ways, and slant ways, and other ways, and any ways you can think of. It can visit any single room in the whole factory, no matter where it is. You simply press the button, and zing, you're off. Oh, that's fantastic, murmured Grandpa Joe. His eyes were shining with excitement as he stared at the rows of buttons. The whole lift is made of thick, clear glass, Mr. Wonka declared. Walls, doors, ceilings, floors, everything is made of glass so that you can see out. But there's nothing to see, said Mike Teavee. Well, choose a button, said Mr. Wonka. The 2 children may press 1 button each, so take your pick. Hurry up. In every room, something delicious and wonderful is being made. Quickly, Charlie started reading some of the labels alongside the buttons. The Rock Candy Mine, 10,000 feet deep, it said on one. Coconut ice skating rinks, it said on another. Then strawberry juice water pistols, toffee apple trees for planting out in your garden, all sizes, exploding sweets for your enemies, luminous lollies for eating in bed at night, mint jujubes for the boy next door. They'll give him green teeth for a month. Cavity-filling caramels. No more dentist. Stick jaw for talkative parents. Wriggle sweets that wriggle delightfully in your tummy after swallowing. Invisible chocolate bars for eating in class. Sugar-coated pencils for sucking. Fizzy lemonade swimming pools. Magic hand fudge. When you hold it in your hand, you taste it in your mouth. Rainbow drops. Suck them and you can spit in 6 different colors. Oh, come on, cried Mr. Wonka. We can't wait all day. Isn't there a television room in all this lot? Asked Mike TV. Well, certainly there's a television room, Mr. Wonka said. That button over here. He pointed with his finger. Everybody looked. Television chocolate, it said on the tiny label beside the button. Oh, whoopee, shouted Mike TV. That's for me. He stuck out his thumb and pressed the button. Instantly, there was a tremendous whizzing noise. The doors clanged shut and the lift leaped away as though it had been stung by a wasp. But it leapt sideways, and all the passengers, except Mr. Wonka, who was holding on to a strap from the ceiling, were flung off their feet onto the floor. Oh, get up, cried Mr. Wonka, roaring with laughter. But just as they were staggering to their feet, the lift changed direction and swerved violently around a corner, and over there they went once more. Help! Shouted Mrs. TV. Well, take my hand, madam, said Mr. Wonka gallantly. There you are, now grab this strap. Everybody grab a strap. The journey's not over yet. Old Grandpa Joe staggered to his feet and caught hold of a strap. Little Charlie, who couldn't possibly reach as high as that, put his arms around Grandpa Joe's legs and hung on tight. The lift rushed on with the speed of a rocket. Now it was beginning to climb. It was shooting up, and it was on a steep, slanty course as if it were climbing a very steep hill. Then suddenly, as though it had come to the top of the hill and gone over a precipice, it dropped like a stone, and Charlie felt his tummy coming right into his throat. And Grandpa Joe shouted, "Yippee! Here we go!" And Mike TV cried, and Mrs. TV cried, "The rope was broken! We're going to crash!" And Mr. Wonka said, "Calm yourself, my dear lady. Settle down, goofball. Hey, settle. I know you just want to play, but not right now. Hey." And then Grandpa Joe looked down at Charlie, who was clinging to his legs, and he said, "Are you all right, Charlie?" Charlie shouted, "I love it. It's like being on a roller coaster." And through the glass walls of the lift, as it rushed along, they caught sudden glimpses of strange and wonderful things going on in some of the other rooms. An enormous spout with brown sticky stuff oozing out of it onto the floor. A great craggy mountain made entirely of fudge with Oompa Loompas, all roped together for safety, hacking huge hunks of fudge out of its sides. A machine with white powder spraying out like a snowstorm. A lake of hot caramel with steam coming off of it. A village of Oompa Loompas with tiny houses and streets, and hundreds of Oompa Loompa children, no more than 4 inches high, playing in the streets. And now the lift began flattening out again, but it seemed to be going faster than ever, and Charlie could hear the scream of the wind outside as it hurtled forward, and it twisted, and it turned, and it went up, and it went down, and "I'm gonna be sick!" yelled Mrs. TV, turning green in the face. "Oh, please don't be sick, madam," said Mr. Wonka. "Well, try and stop me," said Mrs. TV. "Well, then you'd better take this," said Mr. Wonka, and he swept his magnificent black top hat off his head and held it out upside down in front of Mrs. TV's mouth. "Make this awful thing stop," ordered Mr. TV. "Can't do that," said Mr. Wonka. "It won't stop till we get there." "I only hope no one's using the other lift at this moment." "What other lift?" screamed Mrs. TV. "Well, the one that goes the opposite way on this track at the same time," said Mr. Wonka. "Holy mackerel!" cried Mr. TV. "You mean we might have a collision?" "Oh, I've been lucky so far," said Mr. Wonka. "Now I am going to be sick," Mrs. TV said. No, said Mr. Wonka, "not now. We're nearly there. Don't spoil my hat." The next moment, there was a screaming of breakers, and the lift began to slow down. Then it stopped altogether. "Wow, some ride," said Mr. TV, wiping his great sweaty face with a handkerchief. "Oh, never again," gasped Mrs. TV. And then the doors of the lift slid open, and Mr. Wonka said, "Just a minute now, listen to me. I want everybody to be very careful in this room. There's a dangerous stuff around in here, and you must not tamper with it." That's the end of the chapter. That's where we're going to stop today. Marvin has been a reckless one here today. He is so playful, and he is a handful. Marvin, go get him. All right, now it's just us here back again. Just kidding, Marvin's back. Give me that thing. Give me that thing. Give me that thing. All right. So for our sock segment today, Wednesday, April 22nd, I have on some very unique socks. I'll try to show you if Marvin can give me the chance. These are some paper airplane socks. These all have lots of paper airplanes, which are pretty cool. Paper airplanes probably don't belong in the school setting, but paper airplanes are kind of cool to mess with and see the trajectory and flight and all that cool stuff. So I like paper airplanes, when it's an appropriate time to make them, of course. Now, on to my shout-outs. I have 3 shout-outs today, very important shout-outs. My first shout-out, I would like to shout out Ian Mealy, who is my lawn boy. He comes and mows my grass every week, and I appreciate him coming out. The grass was getting a little bit long. So Ian Mealy, my lawn boy, shout out to you. My next shout out goes to Epic Pickles. I've gotten some Epic Pickles, a couple jars of Epic Pickles lately, and I love Epic Pickles. First of all, I love dill pickles, but Epic Pickles have super spicy dills, which are great. I love their spicy dill pickles. So shout out to Epic Pickles, shout out to Ian Mealy, and my third and final shout out is to HBO. I just recently got an HBO 7-day free subscription, but obviously I had to give him my credit card for after the 7 days. So today's Wednesday, April 22nd. You guys need to remind me next Wednesday, April 29th, I better be canceling that subscription. Otherwise, I'm going to have a monthly fee of $14.99. So those are my shout-outs. You guys saw my socks today. I hope you guys are doing well this week. One final thing, shout-out kind of to all the students who are doing their schoolwork. I really appreciate anybody who's at home still trying to learn and grow as an individual, as a student, and as a young mind. So keep it up. Oh, hello there, Marvin. And happy Wednesday to you all. Thanks for stopping by, and stay tuned for another episode, which will take place tomorrow, Thursday, April 23rd. Take care.